Yeah, boy, it's October 1st, and it's episode 92, and this is the Fantasy Football Auctioneer. I'm your host, Uncle Buckets. The Fantasy Football Auctioneer is the official podcast of the fantasyfootballauction.com, the internet's only website dedicated to fantasy football auctions. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/fantasyfootballauctioneer, or follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We are at Fantasy Auction. We've got a great show for you tonight. Tonight, we're going to take a look back at week 4, and I don't even know what I'm reading. Sorry, we're going to go back to week 4, and then we're going to look forward into week 5 of your fantasy football season. But of course, our experts, they're always here. He's putting the finishing touches on the high school homecoming game. Slim, are you guys ready for Friday?
Ready as we'll ever be. I don't know. I am. I don't know if the team is. They'll probably get waxed, but I'm good to go.
But you're good to go. Everything's all planned. Pep rallies planned. Cheerleaders are planned.
Well, you know how that goes. They'll be there.
They'll be there. All right.
Hopefully no one eats lunch before they perform.
All right. And he's planning a hostile takeover of the New England Patriots front office and the offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniel. Blister. How are the nerves? How's the anger? How's the aggression? Everything okay over there?
I think, we might have been very fortunate in many to watch them win maybe one of their last games of the year, and for who knows how long. Yeah, that was hard to watch Monday night.
Yeah, it was.
Putrid.
It was.
They've
I was
done
happy
nothing to help them.
Happy I took KC in the confidence, so. A little leery there.
That's what bugged me the most. I came home and I had picked Minnesota, and I said this on Friday to Slim, and I said, I'm taking Minnesota, I'm taking KC. And I come home just from a fishing trip just before noon on Sunday, and I switched it to Atlanta and New England. So that was, every time I've done that in my whole life, I've always got it wrong. So let that be a lesson. Go with your first instinct and don't switch ever.
Ever.
Wow, I think I say that every year. I say that.
Oh.
Bad.
Listen to yourself. You are a fantasy expert.
I know, and I just, I don't know. Yeah. That's what happened, I read some expert picks. I thought, oh, maybe I should look at this. Oh, this guy's record better than mine. I should just do what he does. Yeah, that didn't work out. So I did my picks for this week already. I did them on Sunday or Monday, I can't remember, and I don't remember who I picked. I have a good idea if I looked at it, but I'm not looking back at them. I'm not changing anything. I don't care what happens. If they lose their whole starting offensive line, I'm leaving whatever I picked in there because I don't want to screw it up again.
All right. Well, I'll remind you of that too. Don't change it. Anyways,
I'm not changing it.
We won't change anything going forward in the old podcast because this is the time, guys. If you're ready, then I'm ready. Let's cock the hammer. It's time for action. I don't know. That was trying to segue into moving on. Anyways, tonight's episode of the Fantasy Football Auctioneer is brought to you by the Daily Fantasy Games at FantasySportsForYou.com. They've now opened up their mid-season survivor pool. Pick players only once in this rest of the season-long competition. Join Fantasy Sports for You via our website. Use the promo code AUCTION and receive a 100% match on your first deposit. That can be rolled immediately into entry fees, not just trickled in like those bonuses you find and matches you find on FanDuel and DraftKings. So you want to try your luck at the mid-season survivor pool? Make a $10 deposit. That's the entry fee for the survivor pool. And then you can join the league twice. Once on your $10 and once on the $10 we give you for using the promo code AUCTION. So join Fantasy Sports for You through our website. Be sure to enter the promo code AUCTION to receive your 100% match on your first deposit of up to $50. Daily fantasy sports action at Fantasy Sports for You. All right, let's move on, guys. Here's a little bit where we kind of update everybody on the Fan League. All three of us had auction drafts with listeners over the course of the summer, and let's give you a little update on what's going on. Blister, how to go this week?
Same as it has every other week. Lost again. These fans are good. I don't know what. We must have the best, smartest fans out there. That's what I think is happening.
That's not what you had on the script. You didn't
like
say
that.
you fans are good.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to. So I lost to Spider 2Y Banana. I kind of like that name,
sweet.
Mr. Reddington.
Hey,
You know,
John Drew,
he was led. Yeah, exactly. He is led by DeMarco Murray, Justin Forsett, and Ruben Randall, and Martellus Bennett. They all had pretty big weeks for him. And I had a great game from Antonio Brown, better than all those guys. And Big Ben was solid, but Toby Gerhart and Zach Ertz has really cooled off. The New England D was terrible. And and another. It was close. I think I lost 129 to 125, but yet another loss. So now the playoffs are not looking too realistic for me at this point. I'll be sad if I don't make the playoffs. Beat these guys. I don't like losing.
No. Slim, how'd week four treat you over there?
Well, unfortunately, I ran into Eddie Royal as a flex play, so I lost. I'm 1-3 now. It was actually pretty close. Other than, Royal was a difference, and I had Crabtree, Pierre Thomas, and Garcon all just were awful for me. So yeah, that was tough to overcome. Other than that, it wouldn't have been too bad of a match. And then Eddie Royal blew up for Jared Hines. Loyal listener Jared Hines.
Oh yeah,
quite a bit on Twitter, but yeah, Eddie Royal was good for him. So was Reggie Wayne. Yeah, what a waste of a good game by Stafford and another one by DeMarco Murray, obviously for me. So I got DeMarco Murray and I'm 1-3. It's good.
Me too. I have DeMarco and Le'Veon Bell, and I'm 2-2. Two best.
You're doing the best out of us all.
Yeah, 2-2. So I lost to team money for Jason Kidd. And it's embarrassing when you look at his lineup because he started, I don't know how or why he started Eli Manning, but he did, and 32 points stabs me right in the heart. But then if you look at the rest of his lineup, he started Shady McCoy, Megatron, so there's 3 points combined there. He also started Doug Baldwin.
Ouch.
Yeah, he's on a bye. He also started the Rams DST.
Another
they were on a bye. Yeah, but he had Eli for 32, Matt Forte for 18.5, DeAndre Hopkins for 14.5, Delaney Walker for 16.5, Chris Johnson for 12, and then what won it for him was Nick Novak, 15 points as a kicker.
Oh yeah, big game.
And that was the difference maker. I lost 111 to 98, so. I had Pierre Garcon for 3, Cecil for 3, Goskowski for 2. But I had DeMarco, Le'Veon Bell. I even started Alex Smith this week at 21. Still got it handed to me. Anyways.
No kidding.
2-2. 2-2. Working hard over there. But money for Jason Kidd with 2 guys on a bye and starting Eli Manning handed it to me. That's embarrassing. It's almost like the BP pool, Blister, but I beat you in that, so that's all right. We'll leave that alone. I actually saw one of the guys in the pool today, Blister, and he goes, "Hey, only 5 guys have entered in teams so far." Hey, so, oh god, so don't talk about it. Slim gets mad.
You and Joey went for beers after work again, or what?
No, it was Righty at the rink. Righty at the rink. He has his team lined up, so that's good.
Yeah.
It's me and Blister and him and the other Canfield and Joey are the only ones who have rosters lined in. Anyways. All right, guys, let's move on.
Big prizes start coming out.
I can't wait.
When do the big prizes start thrown out? Boy, oh boy.
I don't know.
How do you fancy
for 10 years of that team? I beat you up, though, badly, Blister, because Jamal Charles decided to kind of play this week.
Yeah, just kind of.
Yeah, that was disappointing.
Yeah, I know.
I lost a lot of close leagues this week. Was this?
Me too.
We lost in the ECL by 0.75. I had. I played
Antonio
in
Brown,
our ESPN Experts League. Yeah, I had 30-some points, but we lost by 0.75 because we had Edelman and Goskowski and the Pats D going against Gronk, and they did. All 3 of those guys got to do nothing. Gronk got that late touchdown to beat us. And then in one pool, I was in, the guy was like, "Are you kidding me? You started Eddie Royal," and he went off like 25 points. And in the meantime, I think he had Arian Foster, who had 7 yards, but he still ended up with double-digit points. And in the end, I had all these guys playing on Monday, and he beats me by less than a point. So I got a text the next day, LOL, that was it, because he was mad the day before, and then he couldn't believe he won. Neither could I. I was like, what a rough week. I think 2 or 3 pools I lost. Yeah, lost by less than a point.
That is a pill shot.
Right.
0.2.
Yeah.
That was me with Zoobs last week. 0.2. That's all I could say to him. I saw him at work. 0.2. That's got to sting.
0.2.
0.2.
You know what he said to me, right? What one word did he say to me? And I said,
liquor.
Yeah,
liquor.
Well, I texted him after I beat him in both the auction and the dynasty, and I said, "Hey, you lost 2 fantasy games, but on CFOB was take me to the captain," so he at least was happy in the morning. He loves the prison.
Oh.
Anyways, of course, he said, "I'm done with you," was his answer. Anyways, guys, let's move on to segment number 1 here, so we can just get this thing rolling. Finally. Anyway, segment number 1 is We Just Got a Letter. So we just got a letter, or we just got a tweet from @Goosh42. By the way, @Goosh42, thanks for joining Fantasy Sports for You. Don't be afraid to make your first deposit. Anyways, @Goosh42 asks, and Blister, why don't we just throw it out to you? Bliss is always hating on Marty B. He's known for a solid September, but going forward, is he sold on the Black Unicorn? Blister, that's going to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I am. I don't think I'm always hating on him. He's one of those guys, like, I think...
It's Goosh. He thinks... Yeah, everybody's...
he thinks he's offended easily if you don't love the Bears. But they for good reason. They got some good... They do have some fantasy studs on there. And I do like Bennett, and I probably would like him to trade him to me for a reasonable price if he wants to in our Dynasty League. But, if I could get him, I'd have him. I mean, in our dynasty right now, he's the second best tight end on the board, and he's only behind Jimmy Graham by 2.5 points. Excuse me. So it's pretty good company to keep. So I do like him going forward. I mean, he looks pretty solid, and my instinct is he's going to continue to have a pretty good year. And barring injury, I could see him being right there at the top of the tight end stats at the end of the year.
All right. Slim, any last minute emails or tweets come in? No. Eh? All right. So if you want if you have some lineup questions or trade questions or any of those types of things, don't be afraid to tweet us at Fantasy Auction or email us at footballauctioneer@gmail.com. All right. We'll quickly move into segment number 2 then, guys. Segment number 2 is the fantasy football news, buy or sell. So in this segment, we take a look at news items, and I ask the experts if they're buying or selling, the implications of that item. We'll start number 1 here with Slim. Let's go to you. Cam Newton is hoping to run soon. The Panthers quarterback Cam Newton expressed that he may run more soon, according to the team's website. He's been dealing with this off-season ankle surgery and a rib injury, and he's now saying he sees himself as a pocket passer with the ability to run. And hopefully he's feeling healthy enough that he can show off his running skills soon. So, Slim, buy or sell. Cam will be running soon, so he is a top 5 quarterback once again.
I'm going to sell. I think he's very matchup dependent to be top 5. I mean, he's obviously a startable quarterback every week in most leagues, or depending on who else you have, I guess. But to me, there's only a couple surefire top 5 guys. Peyton Manning's one, and typically, I think Aaron Rodgers, we still put him in that category. After that, you get Drew Brees and a bit of Stafford. Matt Ryan sneaks in there more often than not. But Cam's kind of in that group where it's all about matchups, and until he gets maybe some better receivers, I think Benjamin's surprised a lot of people. Obviously, Olsen's involved quite a bit, but if he's 1 or 2 receivers away from being that consistent top 5 guy still, no matter how healthy his ankle is.
All right, moving on, Blister. This one's going to you. So far, so good for Panthers running back Chris Ogbonnaya. Panthers just signed Chris Obanaya on Wednesday, and the team hopes that the former Cleveland back can bolster what has been an injury-plagued backfield. Just as a reminder, Obanaya racked up 660 rushing yards, 714 receiving yards in 46 games so far in the NFL, mostly with the Browns. So, Blister, buy or sell. You can start Obi-Wan Kenobi as a flex this week.
I'll sell that. I mean, one of the popular names on the waiver wire is Darren Reeves, also at Carolina. As far as I know, he's not hurt right now, but I know D'Angelo, Jonathan Stewart, Fozzie Whitaker, Fozzie. They're all banged up. But
good band,
I don't know. I just think that he needs to probably get used to the system a little bit better. I don't think just throwing him in there this week, I don't think he's a valuable flex play. There's only 2 teams on a bye this week, Miami and Oakland, I believe. So, yeah, there's got to be a lot better options out there for flex than Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, Slim, so you walk into the huddle if he gets some carries this week, and it's like, okay, Chris, off tackle right. Like, I mean, there's no play call, right? Then everyone's pulling and dragging him. Like, a Wednesday? It's tough.
I know. I don't know.
Anyways.
I agree with Blister. I'm not touching him this week.
Yeah. Okay. And Slim, honestly, it just the luck of the draw that a Niners question comes to you here. I didn't necessarily plan it that way because I had Blister as the first as the Twitter, and then you, and then so it just happened that way. Anyways, Vernon Davis is unable to go on Wednesday. So Vernon Davis has been dealing with the back injury, but has downplayed the severity of the issue. Davis declared himself day-to-day early on Wednesday. He caught just 2 passes for 8 yards before leaving the game last week. Slim, buy or sell. VD is unstartable this week.
I'm going to sell that. I think he plays. I think he plays. He's going to, he calls himself day-to-day. I think they'll just give him whatever, a couple meds, maybe an injection. He'll be out there.
All right.
He said
some unfair advantage, maybe, Slim? Just kidding.
What?
That's stuff I was showing you after school today.
Yeah.
It's
not unfair when everyone in the league uses it. So.
Yeah. All right. Blister, coming to you. Rams wide receiver Tavon Austin is back in action for Wednesday's session. The Rams wide receiver Tavon Austin has recovered enough from a knee injury to practice on Wednesday. Austin caught 3 passes in week 1, but none since. He did not play in week 3, and the team was idle last weekend. Blister, buy or sell? Tavon is flexible this week.
Oh, I'm going to sell that one again, Bex.
Good. I like
that defense game. I'm going to sell that because I just think I need to see him do something. It's not like he is coming off a big year last year. There's a lot of hype last year, but he didn't really live up to it. And I just think before I'm comfortable starting him at any spot in the lineup, that I need to see something out of him. So I don't think he's a flex this week. Philadelphia has been giving up points. I mean, they can give up points at home, but I just don't think he's going to be a big part of that offense yet.
All right, Slim. Jordan Cameron was able to get through practice on Wednesday. The Browns tight end was a full participant in practice today, Wednesday. Cameron has been dealing with a shoulder injury, but said he felt better coming off the team's bye week and is expected to play in week 5. Slim, buy or sell? Cameron will be a top 5 tight end this week.
Selling it. I mean, there's a lot of hot tight ends right now. I don't see him getting into that top 5 against guys like Jimmy Graham, Julius Thomas. Love his matchup this week. Greg Olsen should get tons of targets. Mr. Larry Donnell even. Tough to get ahead of him. So, I mean,
Black Unicorn.
Actually, Bennett is one guy. Don't necessarily like his matchup this week, but we'll get into that maybe later. But I just don't see Cameron. Just obviously with the offense, there's just too many other guys with better matchups than him. I don't see him being a top 5 this week.
All right, Blister, moving on to you. Name you've talked about earlier and maybe later too. Marvin Jones tweaks his ankle and does not practice. The Bengals wide receiver sat out of practice on Wednesday due to an ankle injury. As a reminder, Jones had missed the first 4 weeks of the season due to a foot injury. The two issues are not related. Jones was able to practice last week, but the team was on a bye. Blister, buy or sell. You cannot start Swervin. I wanted to say Swervin Mervin, but then didn't fit. So Swervin Marvin this week. Those are for our Canadian listeners. Swervin Mervin.
I will. I'll buy that. I mean, if he's playing, we know he had a pretty good role last year. He ended up, I think, with 10 touchdowns, and he had a great year. Sanu's been playing well. They're going on to play the Patriots. Yeah, I know they're going on the road, but they're coming off a bye. The Patriots can't slow anybody down right now, whether it's the run game or whatever. I think they'll probably get a fairly good dose of Gio Bernard and Jeremy Hill out of the backfield. I just don't know if there'll be enough targets to go around if Marvin does play to make him, really fantasy relevant this week. AJ Green could have a big game. Sanu will get some type of points. Those two running backs could both produce. So I'd like to see how much he plays. They could really ease him in if he plays at all, because I really think that the Patriots are in a bad state right now. So they could really run up the scoreboard here, and I don't know that they would want to risk further injury to Marvin. So I wouldn't put him in your lineup this week.
All right. So we'll see if you'll put this guy in your lineup this week. Austin Davis is now the starter for the Rams. Jeff Fisher is done flip-flopping after naming Sean Hill the starting quarterback for the Rams in Week 4. He has now given the job full-time to Austin Davis. Fisher added that there will be no quick hook for Davis. Davis is improved in every performance. In Week 3, Slim, he was 30 of 42 for 327 yards and 3 scores. He did have 2 picks. Slim, buy or sell. You can stream Austin Davis this week.
Yeah, I'm buying that. Depending on who your QBs are, who's on a bye week, and if you're in a pinch, I personally think he's going against a little bit of an easier defense.
Well, Tannehill or Derek Carr are the 2 QBs, right? They're going to be on the bye. Is that the only 2?
Yeah. I can't remember if those are the only 2 games.
Anyways,
There's 4.
Sorry.
Okay, but yeah. Well, if those are the only 2 guys, you probably have somebody better. But yeah, I mean, but he had a solid game. I think kudos to you, St. Louis. You're making the right choice. I think he gives you a better chance to win than Sean Hill does. And like I said, he went against a tougher defense, in my opinion, in Week 3 and had success than he'll face in Philly. So, I think he could be in line for a solid game. Depending on how much they decide to run the ball against a softer run defense. But yeah, I think he'll have a solid week. So like I said, it depends who you're going against. But maybe you got Geno Smith or something like that. Maybe you're in a 2 QB league. I wouldn't hesitate to start him in a 2 QB league this week.
All right. Last one, guys, for the fantasy football news, buy or sell. Vikings say that Teddy Bridgewater will be a game time decision. So Mike Zimmer told Sirius Radio that the rookie quarterback who's been injured with an ankle will be a game-time decision for Thursday's contest at Green Bay. They say it's a long season. They didn't want to put him at risk. So he didn't practice on Monday or Tuesday, and he was limited during the walkthroughs on Wednesday. So Blister, buy or sell. You just can't start Teddy this week.
Well, I'd buy it. I just think you don't need to start Teddy. Like we were just talking about with Austin Davis, there's probably a lot of other guys out there that are starting and, that are going to be healthy. It's hard. You can look at it 2 ways. Like you might think they don't want to play Christian Ponder at all, but then again, if he goes out and does okay, I don't think there's any, going to be any controversy about having him as a starter over Teddy or anybody else for the matter. But increase his trade value, or maybe they could get a better draft pick or a draft pick or something for him. So that could be something to consider. But I think they also would rather get Teddy out there. They know that he can help them win ball games. But I think just as a fantasy player, it might be kind of a risk if he plays. You don't know if he'll play for sure. I think I actually have him starting in a dynasty for me right now, but I might have to change that. I could take old Tom Brady, but he's been getting me a solid 7 or 8 points a week. So Teddy in a quarter could do better probably.
Yeah, that's right. I know a lot of Vikings fans were pretty fired up around these parts from the weekend. That's for sure.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Anyways, okay, guys, that's Fantasy Football News Buy or Sell. Let's move on to segment number 3. This one is called Livewire. So on Livewire, the boys talk about who they're targeting this week on the waiver wire. Blister, we'll start with you. Let's talk about someone you're targeting on the waivers. Well, I mean, your waivers might have been out today, but hopefully you can still make some moves. Maybe you have a Saturday waiver wire too, Blister. Anyways, that's a little joke from last night.
Well, it would be nice.
Yeah.
Well, I think Andre Holmes, he's on a bye this week, but might help you. Might be able to grab him before next week. But he's the guy that started coming on late last year for Oakland, and since he started playing a little bit more, he's been producing in that offense. And that's an offense with receivers over the past, I don't know how many years. Nobody's really come to the forefront ever. There's always been a lot of hype.
I've been trying to draft a guy. I'm trying.
Yeah.
And every year I'm trying to
find
some
guys
one
banged
open
up.
wide receiver. Yeah.
I think Denarius Moore was a healthy scratch the last game. So
isn't that gross?
yeah. So I mean, Andre Holmes appears to be trending upward, and you might be able to get him this week before he's a popular commodity next week. So take a look for him on your waiver wire.
Owned in 3% of Yahoo leagues. Slim, who are you targeting?
Whoa. Well, I'm going to talk Jerick McKinnon, man. I mean, when all this happened, to me, he was a guy I wanted to target right out of the gate because I felt he's just much more talented than Asiata. And I think I remember having this conversation. We talked about it on the air for a little bit.
Yeah.
And he showed it last week. He had a huge game. He was averaging like 7 yards a carry. To me, Asiata is just what you see is what you get there. Once the Vikes kind of realize, I think, what they have in McKinnon, you're going to see Asiata's touches go down considerably and probably some touchdowns. I mean, I think Asiata will probably still get goal line work and things like that, but McKinnon's much more dangerous, and I think they're crazy to not try to get him involved as much as possible right now versus the plotter that Asiata is. So get him while you can because I think the secret's going to be out, if not already. You might be in a battle to try and pick him up off waivers this week if you're in a blind bidding or something like that. So get in there, try and grab him now before he blows up again, and then he'll be untouchable for you.
All right. Well, I was going to ask you that very question about the goal line touches because I think that's one of the scares. You see Asiata 3 touchdowns, and he's punching it in there. So.
Yeah, no, but I mean, hey, if McKinnon gets carries from the 15, he might bust a couple of, and then all of a sudden there's less goal line touches for Asiata to get. So yeah.
All right. So Blister, who else are you taking a look at?
Well, Antoine Smith from Atlanta Falcons. Every 3 out of the 4 weeks this year, he's busted off a big run for a score, and I don't know why he doesn't get the ball more than he does. He's only he's only got the ball 13 times, but he's got the best numbers of the whole bunch. Like his yards per carry obviously are crazy because he busts a big play all the time. He can find the end zone. It's just I don't know if or when he'll be a consistent fantasy starter for you. I have played him. I had to play him in a couple deeper leagues this past week, and I mean he hasn't disappointed me. He's giving me double-digit fantasy points each time, so it's pretty good when you're in a deep league and you can get that out of a guy who gets the ball only 4 touches. But I'd love to see him get the ball 15 times or more a game because I'd like to see what he could do. But take a look at him. I know he was bought in I think our dynasty for over 100 this week, so. Somebody you could sit there and sit on, hopefully. But maybe more so in a dynasty, you could pick them up, and if you have a deep bench, you could hold them for a bit. All
right. Slim, who else are you taking a look at?
Well, Eli Manning. I mean, he was dropped. I know in a lot of the leagues we're in, he was dropped because of his such a bad start to the season. But he's one of the streakiest quarterbacks there are in the NFL, and right now he appears to be trending upward. Kind of figuring out this offense. Victor Cruz isn't dropping as many passes. Ruben Randall's getting involved. Run game's getting going. Things seem to be clicking a little bit for the Giants' offense. So the thing with Eli is when you get this wave, you got to try and ride it because who knows how long it'll last. And he is a fantasy relevant quarterback when he's hot. So yeah, I mean if you've got guys. Maybe you drafted Josh McCown and he's hurt and you've been kind of piecing things together week in and week out. maybe you went streaming route and a couple of guys haven't panned out, and Eli's sitting out there. Go grab Eli, or you've drafted Tom Brady. He's disappointed. If he's out there, yeah, go get him, man. Because like I said, it's all about riding the hot hand, and he's got a hot hand right now.
All right, Blister, you got anyone else on your list?
Yeah, if you're going to speak of hot hands, Eddie Royal from the San Diego Chargers. We talked a bit about him earlier, but he's the 11th ranked receiver in our fantasy league right now, and he started the season off with a game with 2.9 fantasy points, and then he went up to 13.9, 20.2, and 27.5. I don't think he's going to continue to go up, but he's going to have good games. And like last year too, he started off hot. Like he had the most touchdowns for the first 3 weeks or something like that. So, Philip Rivers will look for him in the red zone. He spreads the ball around pretty good there. I mean, finally last week Keenan Allen surfaced. He had over 100 yards. Didn't find the end zone, but Malcolm Floyd did. But Eddie seems to be able to be one of his favorite targets around the red zone. Sorry. So, throw him on your team if you haven't already.
All right. Anyone else, Slim, that you're targeting, or?
Well, Marvin Jones, if he's still out there, obviously you gotta. I know in leagues with shorter benches, people probably didn't hang on to him once he got hurt. And now hopefully this injury will scare some people off. I would go out there and definitely grab him. To me, he's a wide receiver 3 once he comes back and he's healthy. Playing opposite, obviously, AJ Green, he can see a lot of one-on-one coverage. So, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go and he's somebody I'm gonna target if he's available on my waiver wire.
He's only owned in 23% of Yahoo leagues right now, so there's a good chance that in one of your leagues, anyways, he's available.
I mean, in deeper leagues, guys hung on to him. I mean, the injury wasn't that serious. He wasn't supposed to miss tons of time. But in shallower leagues, I know you just didn't have the luxury, especially if maybe you had a ton of guys on bye week 4, like I had in certain pools. You would have had to have dropped him to fill those bye week holes. So, yeah, I mean, he could definitely be out there.
All right. So, Blister, anyone else you want to add, or you want to move into the game breakdown?
One more to keep an eye on. You might not want to add him just yet, but Austin Seferian-Jenkins for Tampa Bay. Now, he's been banged up and unhealthy most of the year, and again, now today he didn't practice. He's been, I don't know, he played last week finally. He played 71 of 71 snaps. He had 7 targets, only made, what did he make, 4 grabs or 3 grabs? 3 grabs for 44 yards. So not earth-shattering, but he comes in with, pretty good resume and a pedigree. We expect big things from him. Of course, we all know first-year tight ends don't tend to produce a lot, but if Mike Evans is sidelined for a few weeks and, he moved right up to the top of the tight end depth chart, if Mike Evans is out, he might be the second best target there if he can stay healthy and stay on the field. So keep an eye on that. I mean, if you have to, get him this week if you can, and sit on him, or just watch and be prepared to spend more if he starts making more plays this week. His value could go up a lot.
Yeah, freakish athletic. Just we haven't seen a whole lot of them on the field to be able to get much out of it.
Too bad.
Yeah. All right. So there's Livewire, where you take a look at the waiver wire. Next one, we're going to move into this segment. It's called the Fantasy Game Breakdown. So in the Fantasy Game Breakdown, our experts talk about a couple of games they're interested in taking a look at as far as fantasy implications. Blister, let's roll with you first. Who are you looking at?
Well, I've complained enough about New England already tonight, and I've talked about Cincinnati, but that's the game of interest. I mean, I don't expect New England to right the ship after last Monday night game here. I think Cincinnati's coming off a bye week, potentially having Marvin Jones back. They're going to have a lot of weapons. New England is between their health and their just shoddy play and inexperienced players on the O-line and all over the field for that matter. They just aren't putting it together. So, I complained last year about the Brady probably barely threw a pass over 7 yards, and I don't think that's changing. Yeah. I mean, if nothing ever changes from one... Yeah, exactly. If you don't do something different from 1 week to the next, how hard is it to game plan against you? Like, you got to change it. I mean, this isn't rocket science here.
Not killing anyways.
No, right. I should save that part. Yeah. So, anyways, I'm looking for this because I want to see, what like I got Gio Bernard in a lot of leagues. I want to see if he can really light up Jeremy Hill, how much he's going to be used. You know, I think this is a game where AJ Green really goes off. On the other side of the ball with New England, what are they going to do? They got to get Gronk involved more in these plays. What are they waiting for? They're going to be, yeah, I know they're only 2-2, but realistically, they're kind of lucky probably to be at 2-2. They beat the Vikings, but it wasn't their offense. It was their defense and special teams. You can't rely on them to win your games. And they beat barely at home. They barely beat the Oakland Raiders. So I don't know. Like, so you gotta. What can they do? I want to see what they do to regroup from Monday, and I don't expect it's going to be a whole lot. So, as far as fantasy guys go, I mean, none of their running backs are doing anything. They didn't even activate Dobson or Tompkins last week. Right. Amendola's done nothing. Edelman had a few drops. That one play where Brady, all he had to do was take 2 more steps, he would have had the first down. And he fires a fastball at Edelman at 4 yards, and of course he doesn't catch it. But I mean, it's just stupid plays. I mean, last year the same thing. Everyone was trying to. A lot of people would make excuses for Brady. Well, he's got a young crew. He's only got one guy that's caught a touchdown pass for him, and now but a lot of people would say, well, he's not making good throws, he's not doing this. Well, he is. He's not playing very good. I mean, he doesn't have a lot to go with. He's got no offensive line, so he is hurried. But you got to make better decisions. You got to make the 2 steps and get your first down. You got every play. You have to be the best player on the field if that team's going to win. And he's not. So I wonder what they're going to do. Some changes have to be made. Realistically, like we said earlier, like if you don't make do anything to help him, they don't sign anybody, they don't draft anybody special, they don't trade for, they don't do anything. They just bring in these guys and try to be heroes and resurrect a kind of a shitty career they had, or a so-so career somewhere else. And they think we'll bring them in and we'll turn them into these football players. Well, hey. That's not happening. So, anyways, I hope they get their ass kicked again, and some people they shake up that organization.
They say it's Belichick the GM getting in the way of Belichick the coach.
Is that right?
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Belichick.
Yeah. Well, you got those 2 young wide receivers, right? Like, it's going to be Dobson, it's going to be Tompkins, it's going to be, and then just sit them both. And then you pick up, a couple years ago, Danny Amendola. Boy, he's been wicked, hey. You couldn't even throw a block out there against the Chiefs. Who was it? Vereen could have scored, and a deep one. Yeah. Anyways. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's disappointing.
We're getting wound up. So let's go to you. What game are you looking at?
I'm looking at St. Louis at Philly, and I typically don't pick the Rams, but I mean, I think that this can be a good matchup for them. Well, for a few reasons here. One, as a LaShawn McCoy owner, to me this is a week where he can potentially break out. He's going against the number 30 ranked in terms of yards per game rushing defense. I get that their offensive line is banged up, but if he can't do anything, I mean, in this game, I'm not saying he's going to lead the league this week in rushing or anything like that, but if he can't do anything this week, I'm going to start to get a little worried here that, this could be a terrible season and a terrible waste of a pick for me to take that high. So I'm expecting him to do something this week. In daily fantasy, to me, Austin can be a good little sneaky start for St. Louis there at quarterback. He should be dirt cheap. He's going against a Philly defense who gives up is ranked 23rd in terms of passing yards allowed per game. So I think that the picking can be right for him through the air. He's found this connection with Brian Quick. Jared Cook, I think, can be involved and help him in the passing game as well. And I think Zach Stacy can be a threat on the ground as well. So I think there's going to be a few points put up in this game. I just think, with that, and we know what the Philly offense can do. People will look and say St. Louis's defense, they don't give up tons of passing yards through the air, but they don't have to. Teams don't throw because they can run all over them. So if Philly, the thing is, it's tough sledding for McCoy again. Chip Kelly's not going to be scared to throw it no matter what. So I still think that, no matter what the stats say, Philly's offense should be able to move the ball through the air, hopefully they can pick up yardage on the ground. So I think that both of these offenses should be able to move the ball fairly easily at times. So we could see some huge points and hopefully some pretty big fantasy outputs from this game.
All right. So there's some fantasy game breakdown. Guys, let's we're moving along pretty well here. We might actually have time for killing the name of yet again. So let's move into segment number 5. This one's called This is the Man. So in This is the Man, we pit expert versus expert. Head-to-head in positional battles. They pick who they think is going to score more points. Guys, I went through week 4 while Blister scored it for us, but there's some pretty tight scores here.
Tight.
It was a barn burner. Let's just quickly recap week 4. Blister took Teddy Bridgewater over Slim, who took Tom Brady. We know the result there, so Blister gets a point. Blister takes Kyrie Robinson over CJ Spiller, and that was a tight one, just over a point difference, and Blister scores a point there. Both guys took Bobby Rainey over Sean Green, and they were right, but who cares? Both of them are terrible. Moving on at wide receiver, Blister takes DeAndre Hopkins, and he loses to Kelvin Benjamin. That was Slim's pick. That was 0.2 of a difference there. Wide receiver, both guys took Allen Robinson over Greg Jennings, and Greg Jennings busts double digits, scores a 10.2. So they don't score any points there. At the tight end position, both guys took Heath Miller over Jason Witten, who showed up a little bit last week, but Heath Miller was huge. I had him in a couple of pools, 24.5. Awesome. Anyways, moving on to the flex position, both guys took Carlos Hyde over Alan Hearns. Big mistake. Alan Hearns was on for 11.8, and Carlos Hyde, Frank Gore. I was so happy as a Frank Gore owner.
Oh, wow.
Catching
awesome.
50-yard passes. Well,
Love
catching
it.
50 yards, I guess if you count the width of the field and then running for another 50. But so I guess that does count. But yeah, it was sweet.
Love it. Anyways, and then at the DST, Slim took Detroit, and Blister took the Ravens, and the Ravens win that battle by 1 point. So overall last week, Blister was 5 out of 8 correct, and Slim was only 3 out of 8 correct. So the overall score right now is a Blister 16, Slim 13. It's still tight, guys. It's still tight here. We're going into week 5.
Oh, yeah.
You know what?
Really, yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, I did good this week in the. I don't know. You guys haven't seen this yet. So anyways, we go into week 5. These guys don't have any time really to prep. They're going off the top of their heads and their rankings really quickly to say who they're going to pick. So we always start with a guy who's losing. We always start with Slim.
So it's been me for 3 years.
Yeah. Anyways, Slim, let's roll into week 5 here. At the quarterback position, let's take a look at Joe Flacco at Indianapolis, or your boy Colin Kaepernick hosting the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, on paper, I look at the matchup and I just, Kansas City, we just saw what they did to the Patriots, and then Flacco, they just lit up. Their offense was on fire last week. But you know what? I really think Baltimore's going to run the ball a lot against Indy. So I don't like the matchup as much versus KC, but I'm going to go with Kaepernick just because I think he's going to have to do more. Could be a curse too. Asking him to do more might mean that he throws 3 interceptions, but I'm going to roll the dice there and see what he can do. Hopefully he picks up about 80 rushing yards or something like that. At least 50.
There you go. And just, again, we don't pick guys like, is Peyton Manning going to score more points than Aaron Rodgers? These are the tough lineup decisions. If you're streaming a quarterback, looking deep as your wide receiver 3, and those types of decisions you might have to make. Anyways, Blister, going to you, Joe Flacco or Colin Kaepernick?
Well, I'm going to go Joe here, actually. I know I don't have them ranked that way right now in my rankings, but I guess I could always change it. But I don't know. I think Colin, I think it's going to be pretty tight, actually. And I don't expect KC to be as dominant because I just think San Fran is going to do more than the Patriots did. I think they have more weapons and a better offense. But I don't know. I think they're going to get into Indy, and it could be another shootout, and they might have to toss the ball around a lot more than than Colin. But I know Colin's legs could make up the difference. But we'll stick with Joe.
It was nice to have a Torrey Smith sighting last week as well, if you're picking Joe
Yes,
Flacco.
finally.
time.
Yeah.
All right, let's move into running back position. This one for C, I thought would be an interesting. I'd love to ask him this question. Toby Gerhart, Blister. It's to Toby Gerhart hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers or Jerick McKinnon at Green Bay.
I know Jerick McKinnon's a little banged up right now, and we just talked about Asiata getting the goal line touches, but I hate Gerhart. I have him in a few teams. He's done nothing for me. I think Pittsburgh will be a tough D to play against, so I'm going to go with McKinnon.
All right, Slim, how about you, McKinnon or Gerhart?
I'm going to go with McKinnon too. I actually like McKinnon a fair amount this week. I think the Vikings are going to use him more and more now. They're finding ways how to use this rookie, so I think his workload can increase.
All right, Slim, staying with you, let's bring up a name we mentioned earlier, the starting running back in Carolina, Darren Reeves, as they host the Chi-Town Bears, or do we look at the old guy, Steven Jackson, at the Giants?
Well, I mean, I'm not sold Jonathan Stewart won't be back this week. So I'm going to go with Steven Jackson. As much as I hate this four-headed monster, I just don't trust Darren Reeves at all. So to me it says more about what I feel about Reeves than about how much I like Jackson, if that makes any sense. But I'm going to go with S-Jax.
All right. What about you, Blister, Reeves or Jackson?
Yeah, I'm going to go with S-Jax too. I don't like him, but I don't know much about Reeves. I don't know how confident they're going to be giving him the ball at the goal line. I think Cam will rush any of those ones in. It's just it's always a muddled situation in Carolina. Unfortunately, it's not much better than in Atlanta, but I think Jackson, we've got to go with him.
All right. Blister, staying with you, wide receiver position, Eddie Royal, who we mentioned earlier, will be hosting the Jets, or Ruben Randall hosting the Falcons.
That is a tough one, and I want to go Eddie Royal because the Jets are really tough to run against. They got a good run D, so I think they're going to have to air it out quite a bit because their run game has done nothing. It's one of the worst running games in the league. But don't be too quick there, Bucks.
Oh, well, I thought you were done. I said but, and you didn't go there. So.
I'm still trying to convince myself. Ruben Randall had a great week last week, and Atlanta's been awful. But a lot of the yards that there was both the running backs there put up over 100 yards, and I think that again they're going to put up some points. You know what? I'm going to go back with Eddie Royal.
You.
Sorry about that. I
That's
just think that
we're editing this live, listeners. So.
Yeah, Andre Williams will be like both running backs, Jennings and Williams. I think are in line for good weeks again. So
okay.
Keep an eye on
Slim, who you taking, Eddie Royal or Ruben Randall?
Well, I'm just gonna hope Ruben can build off that nice game he had last week. He looked good, I thought. So I'm gonna go with Randall. I think that it could be a lot of points scored. So let's go.
All right. Staying with wide receivers, Slim, going to you. This is old versus new. Andre Johnson at Dallas with a secondary and a defense that's looking not too shabby, I guess. And or are you going to pick Jordan Matthews as they host the Rams?
Well, I mean, if I look at Philly's offense, to me, Macklin obviously he's fifth in receiving. But Andre Johnson, he hasn't hit the end zone yet, but he gets lots of targets. He's still out targeting DeAndre Hopkins. He just hasn't scored. So in a PPR league, I still want to go with Andre Johnson because I feel like he's going to get 10 targets in this game.
Andre Johnson hasn't seen the end zone since, 2010? And then he only saw it once? Like, he never sees the end zone.
Well,
yeah, anyway.
Hopefully this week.
Blister, what about you, Johnson or Matthews?
Yeah, I just think I have more faith in Johnson. Matthews had that one big game, but he hasn't been a consistent producer so far. So I got to go with Andre.
All right, tight ends, guys. Blister, starting with you. We had a decent game here from Jason Myro.
What did you say?
What? You said barf or something. Anyways, at San Diego, are you taking Eric Ebron as they host the Buffalo Bills?
Wow.
This is why I said barf.
Yeah. Well, Jason Marrow, everyone's going to be like, oh, he had a good game, and and.
Let's try Ebron then.
Ooh.
Just flip the coin.
All right.
Let's flip the coin and Ebron.
Slim, what about you?
Pretty well.
Amaro or Ebron?
Well, I mean, I just look at the quarterback situation in New York, and
that's what I did.
Up in the air, and I mean, yes, Buffalo to me is a little bit of a tougher deep. San Diego's no slouch either, but I mean, Buffalo could play them tough. Kelvin Johnson's maybe not 100%, so Stafford, he might have to just dump it off, and Ebron could be one of the beneficiaries to that.
All right, let's take a look at the flex position, guys. We'll call it a tight end flex right now. So I'm staying with you. Travis Kelce at San Francisco or Cordero Patterson at Green Bay with possibly Christian Ponder starting?
Yeah, I mean, Patterson was non-existent last week. A little bit better matchup with the Green Bay. And San Fran typically plays the tight ends pretty tough. But, I mean, to me, Kelce is 1A in terms of their receiving weapons or receiving options in Kansas City. I feel like he's getting used more and more every game. I think Alex Smith will look for him, and you know what? If he catches 4 passes, he could very well outpace Cordell Patterson. So I'm going to go with Kelce.
All right, Blister, are you taking Kelce or Patterson?
I'll take Kelce. I don't think he can continue to improve every game like he has been, but you can see how valuable he can be to that offense. And Cordell is just, he hasn't been producing like we expect him to. Yeah. So, yeah, let's go Kelce. I'm playing him in one of my leagues this week for sure.
All right. Me too. Did I play him last week or I play Heath in that league? Anyways, doesn't matter.
You guys gave me bad advice last week on the pod. I said Kelce or Gronk. Oh, you got to go Gronk, and which I agree, but that was a bad advice.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have made a difference in that one league anyways, but
there you go.
Oh well.
All right, DST guys, and Slim, he spoke to this game already earlier, but Blister, we'll start with you. DSTs, we're taking a look at the Eagles hosting the Rams or the Rams at the Eagles.
Well, let's go with the home team. I'll take the Eagles.
All right. Slim, what say you?
Yeah, I agree. I just think there's more potential there for some sacks. We saw them get after the quarterback fairly well against the Niners. Rams offensive line might be able to do a little bit better job than the Niners did, but Robert Quinn's been non-existent so far this year for the Rams, so I like the Eagles maybe to rack up a few more sacks.
All right, so recapping with the score 16-13 heading into Week 5, Blister takes Flacco over Slim, who's taking Kaepernick. Both of them are taking Jerick McKinnon over Toby Gerhart. Both guys are taking Steven Jackson over Darren Reeves at the wide receiver. Blister has Eddie Royal and Slim has Ruben Randall. Both guys are taking the old guy, Andre Johnson, over Jordan Matthews. Tight ends, both are taking Eric Ebron over Jason Morrow. At the flex position, both guys take Travis Kelce over Cordero Patterson. And at the DST, both guys take the Eagles over the Rams. Geez, I thought it was going to be a lot more splits here. I thought I had tougher lineups there than. You guys fooled me. You guys fooled me.
You might not have a great week.
Just thinking alike.
Yeah, just because you're alike, I guess, doesn't mean it was easy, right? Okay. All right, guys. We do have some time. We're well under the hour mark. Blister, do you want to continue? Do you want to continue and do some killing in the name of?
Well, I could. Maybe I'll think of something else. But go ahead.
All right. Okay.
You guys have anything? Do you have stuff?
I'm pretty grape free this week, believe it or not.
What?
The only gripe I had is losing the stupid fan league because the guy had two guys on a bye and then Eli Manning bust for 30, but that's just fantasy football. What are you going to do?
Nothing. Yeah.
Nothing. Anyways, Blister.
My season this year.
All right, so segment 6, killing in the name of Blister. Go ahead.
Well, okay, I can continue. I don't know if I should keep beating a dead horse, but I mean, this
Why not?
New
You
England
beat on
Patriots
Norv
team.
Turner 19 times last year.
I'm moving on from Norvin, hating on my own team. Even Slim said it a long time ago. I remember like a quote on when he booed him right in the nuts for thank you for not doing anything to help our offense over the last 2 or 3 years here, and that's what they've done. Basically nothing. They haven't grabbed anybody. They haven't. I mean, they picked up Brandon LaFell. Whoopie ding dong.
Hey, actually, he was okay last week, wasn't he?
He was okay, but still not compared to the other. 31 teams in the league, like they all have probably two receivers better. But that offense is just putrid. I don't really know who they're fooling. Like, you can pretty well predict. I mean, we can. And I don't watch every game. I don't sit there and I'm not a guy who's just so in love with his team that he analyzes every play and watches who's coming and going from the sidelines. I'm not that crazy, but it's just sad to see that they don't have anything going on, like nothing. They don't throw the ball down the field hardly ever. I don't know how they expect to win. I just don't get it. Like, they haven't made changes. Their playbook seems to be like terrible. And then they talk on TV, well, it's taken so-and-so a long time to get to know this complicated Patriots offense. What the hell's so complicated about it? You run right into the middle and go nowhere. We throw a bubble screen, we throw a quick pass outside, or we throw a quick slant 4 yards and in. Like, there's not a lot of complications to those plays. Like, I don't know where the complication is. Everybody else in the league has figured it out. I mean, they haven't done anything on offense realistically for a while now. So tell me where the complication lies. Right. I don't see it. There's no complication. I mean, Brady looks one way.
Well, and who hasn't learned it? Who's the rookie that hasn't learned it on that team?
I don't know.
James White?
They finally activated him the other day, but I don't even know if he.
That's what I mean. Like, who's the rookie? Like
Dobson.
But he's been around. They've been around the team for over a year.
Was benched.
Is that what
Garbage.
He did? Yeah.
Apparently, he said something to Daniels, and then Daniels sat him and whatever. It's. I don't know.
Working on
McDaniels. McDaniels should get the hell out of there, and also should whatever.
It's terrible. I mean, it's as a fan of the team, it's disappointing. As a fantasy owner of players, it's really it's terrible. Like, I kind of expected if Gronk owning him on some teams, not a lot, but I expected if it took him a while to get going, that's fine. But he can't score fantasy points from the sideline. I mean, he's the only guy he gets a touchdown a game. Maybe we should throw him out there a little bit more often. I don't know. I mean, what the hell?
25% of the plays.
Yeah. And they don't they'll get one guy, chugging along. He might get 6 or 7 yards in a carry. Then that's about it. And they throw some other plays, and it's over. Like, the drive is over. I mean, it's 4th and 2, and they're in the midfield, and they just punt it away or do something. Like, go for it. You got nothing going on. You need to build some momentum, and they don't. And they're, I don't know. It's just, I don't know at what point to look in the mirror and figure it's something that's got to change.
Right.
But I think they should get humiliated. And I think they play this Sunday night or this week. So again, national TV, the only game on. Like, you want 2 weeks in a row, you're going to get embarrassed. So see how that works out for you. Some heads have got to roll next Monday. They gotta.
Yeah. Well,
2 and 3, 2 blowouts in a row.
I was just thinking of something that I could, I guess, sort of kill the name of fantasy football. It's guys who whine and complain about rules that have been listed.
Oh.
All right. Like, so you read through your rules. We preach all preseason, know thy rules, know thy scoring system. And then when push comes to shove and you made the mistake of not reading the rules, you whine and complain because you didn't read or you didn't listen to the rules that you should have read. I don't know. I mean, listen, I've made mistakes, but I'm not going to whine and complain and say, well, it's somebody else's fault that I didn't listen to the rules that I was supposed to have read that were readily available to me. I chalk that up to me being dumb and not knowing the rules of all the different things that I'm doing, right? Which makes it kind of complicated and whatever, but You put money on the line, or you put your pride on the line, and the commissioner's gone through the work of making up the rules. Don't complain if you screw up. I mean, Marcus Wheaton, Survivor Pool. I'll always man up. I mean, I might not get the tat, but I admit my mistake at least.
Yeah. Someday you will.
Well, listen.
I
would right now. Bring it in.
So if we want to get even a kind of more specific, then we said that as far as your fantasy leagues go, like we were talking about before when we were talking about this, we said you're going into your draft. Know the scoring system, know the rules, know everything, because we've had instances in our auction, for example, guys run out of money. What happened? They had to forfeit. They didn't fulfill lineup. That happens. You throw in a few beverages and stuff, that can happen. But anytime you're investing money, like if you're going on a daily site, look at the rules. I mean, maybe the rules are set up such that it really favors the tight end. Maybe they get 1.5 points per reception, or maybe it's worth spending more money on that position. But every league is different. If everything was exactly the same, there would be one giant league out there. Everything's different for a reason. Everyone that sets it up likes this little tweak or that tweak, but you have to read the rules. You got to know the deadlines, and that's just, they're out there. It's not a surprise. We're not going to take your money and then say, hey, by the way, you didn't put your team in because, thanks for the money, though. Anyway, they're posted out there. They're right on every website, every daily site you play, every league you play with your buddies or your strangers or whatever. The rules will be there. You go through the rules before you do your draft. You go through the rules before you pick your team.
Then if you don't, shame on you.
That's right. Too bad you got too busy. You forgot. You just forgot, man. That's the way it is.
Like, and it'll be that guy that complains, I didn't know the waiver wire went in on Wednesday night, but, so they'll complain about, well, I didn't know. But with that same guy complain, well, I would have picked a different tight end because it was 1.5 points. Oh, I want my entry fee back on this year-long league because I didn't know it was 1.5 for tight end or something stupid, right? Like, anyways. Just know the rules. We talked about it forever and a day for weeks and weeks and weeks ahead of the season. So that doesn't stop in season, doesn't stop during your dailies. Know the rules. Simple.
Know thy rules.
Know the rules in life, right? That's a life lesson.
Oh, life lesson. Been hanging out with St. Croix too much lately.
Oh.
He's listening. That's why I put it out there. He's good. Hey, by the way, he had.
I'm okay with that.
Good. He had a good eye appointment, by the way. Just so you guys know.
I was going to ask him tomorrow. Thank you for filling me in.
I texted him tonight. Actually, I also texted him too. This is something that you guys will love. Novice hockey tonight. There's a guy wearing a Joffrey Lupul jersey.
Oh.
And so then he goes, Joffrey Lupul, Anaheim, Joffrey Lupul, Toronto. He goes, that guy won me a league. And I said Toronto, and then he was mad. So I had to take a picture of the jersey and send him. But Joffrey Lupul, we all know the song.
Pretty good.
Anyways.
He probably got some digits after the game from some of the chicks in the stands.
Well, full, and Blister, you would have loved it. Full hockey hair, too. Like full moulet coming out of the bottom of the helmet. Wicked.
This guy's crushing it.
So anyways, I had to take that pic and send it to him. I don't know if you could see it after he had the eyes checked, but it was all good. He's laughing. It's good. He's laughing. He was asking for podding tonight. He's excited. So anyways, that's what I wanted to
get. Run in the morning.
Yeah, there you go. I wanted to just mention that, I guess, in killing the name of Slim. Do you have anything in particular? Are you relatively happy for you?
Yeah, it's been a happy week.
You usually have something on the back burner.
I usually do, but
nothing
major. A lot of some little things, but nothing worthy of airing of the grievances here. I'll save it for Festivus.
I was going to say, it's the Feats of Strength coming up next.
That poll will be up. Yep.
Festivus is not over until you pin me, George. Anyways, I wish I would have shown that. I would have loved to see the two of them actually wrestle. Like I want to see Costanza
Skins.
like in the on all fours in the down position and right, and his old man like he's ready, right? He's on
Taking
the up.
that elbow.
Ooh, little cross face, a little something would have been good. Anyways, that would be good. Anyways, okay, so that's about all I got, guys. So homecoming's early kickoff, Slim?
2 bells.
I think
Come on over.
I think I got to be at I think I got to be at the district cross country run at that point. I'm gonna come in. I'm gonna show up for a fourth quarter here.
Yeah, man. You gotta listen to the new voice of the Muskies.
Are you running the stopwatch?
Yeah, it does. I'm running the big clock.
Stopwatch? Are you?
No, I'm not. I don't know. That's a long story. Anyways, it's all good. Leadership opportunities, Blister. Leadership opportunities.
Yeah. That's right.
Anyways,
It would have been rough this week.
I could have been, but the retired coach is reffing, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
And do you have the white hats figured out, Slim?
It's figured out. We're all good.
Attaboy. Tech teacher?
No.
Okay.
He got short straw.
Well, hey, that's how it goes. That's the name of the game.
Did he ask for it?
Mr. Dave.
For the long straw? He sure did.
He said he would do it if no one else did.
He did? Oh, boy.
Wow. What do you think he was going to say? It's an extra $15, man.
Is it?
Easy. We're still on the air. Anyway. All right.
Greg will love it.
Yeah.
He's the only one that's going to get it.
Anyways, okay, boys. So I'm going to try to sneak out and see Blister wearing the tight white pants. He's got his white pants.
In the rain.
In the rain, too. Wicked. But I'm going to try to sneak out and catch the second half of the homecoming game at the old high school. So hopefully I'll see you guys there. And for everybody else, I'll see you when it's springtime in the Rockies.